the dinks, we see it everywhere, right? The dual income, no kids. We're in a culture this whole episode has just been about this culture of death. We're exterminating ourselves by not having children anymore with this contraceptive mentality.
Mm-hmm. What's behind parish closures? It's the fact that Catholics love contracepting more than they love evangelizing and making disciples.
Yep.
If you stop having sterilized sex and if you start making disciples, it takes one generation. And then we're going to have a crowded church problem. We're going to have the problems that they had in Ireland and Malta and Quebec a generation ago. Quebec in the 1920s had the world's highest birth rate. Now it's pretty much neck and neck with Japan. When I was writing the Contraception Deception, the first edition came out in 2011, I think. And at that point, Japan had already tilted over a very scary metric, and that is Japan began building more retirement centers for the elderly than nurseries for kids.
Yeah.
Once you go below that magic 2.1 offspring, there is a point of no return.
And Japan is a very homogenous society, and I just saw stories recently where they're opening themselves up to immigration because they need young people to pay for the old people, because that's what actually happens when you have a decline in birth like that. Like they have lower than replacement coming in their culture. I saw Bishop Barron. I saw clips from the Eucharistic Congress where he was trying to motivate the crowd, and he's like, just imagine if every Catholic in here went out and lived their faith to their fullest and decided to be radically Catholic. We could change the world in a generation. I'm like, yeah, but the church won't let us live radically Catholic right now. It's kind of a strange thing where whenever we try to live a radically Catholic life, we get called rigid or we get called all these names. So I don't know how this problem actually gets fixed.
It gets fixed by families, I think. And the father influencing the family instead of the mother running absolutely everything. It comes with getting rid of happy wife, happy life. It comes with identifying and confronting childhood attachment injuries, childhood trauma. It comes with better marriage preparation. Where was Bishop Barron when Bergoglio locked 1.1 billion Catholics out of the sacraments?
Yeah.
Why was he part? All of them. I mean,
all of them, every
masked army. No one stood up.
Yeah, you had a couple of rogue priests that were willing to go against what their bishop was saying, but all in all, pretty much unanimously, they all closed down. I remember Crisis had that map where it was just black across the whole country. They put like every diocese that took away the sacraments, and it was just slowly clicking, and eventually the whole country was just black. Every bishop just said, nope, no sacraments for you.
Isn't this connectable to the Novus Ordo Missae culture post Vatican II? Is it really shocking that only about 30% of Catholics believe that Jesus Christ, body, blood, soul, and divinity, is present in the Holy Eucharist? Because locking Catholics away, including letting people languish in old age homes and hospitals to die alone, that's a sign of apostasy with regard to the Eucharist. How can you believe that it's really our Lord? How can our Lord transfer a virus that will kill you? I mean, we were allowed to go to grocery stores unmolested. No one seemed to care about that. We didn't have to handle vegetables with gloves on. And yet, the Eucharistic Extraordinary Ministers of Holy Communion had their squirtathons to protect you and everyone else from the danger known as our Savior in the Eucharist. It's crazy.
I remember immediately after, when you finally got to go back, all the short-haired lesbian Eucharistic ministers with their going like this. It almost looked liturgical. They'd get up there with their hand sanitizer. It was wild. We forget, man. We really forget how crazy that period of time was from 2020 to like 2020, mid 2021, 2022. We memory hole so many things. It's insane to me what they did to us.
Yeah. Don't forget the nurse coordinated dances. Remember those?
Yeah. Yeah. Part of the narrative that they allowed us to see.
Yeah, right. That was permissible footage. Yeah. It's true. Yeah, you could go to strip. Good.
No, I was talking. Well, no, yeah, I was talking to somebody recently. I don't want to say who it was because they're pretty prominent, but and I don't. If they want to say this on their own, they can. But they were saying they are starting to think more and more that the time of the Gentiles was fulfilled when Pope Paul VI lays his papal tiara down and allows the UN to essentially become, the governing. It used to be the universal church that told the nations what they should do, and then he kind of it was right around the time of the council. You get this new order of the mass comes out, he lays his papal tiara down, and we've just been dealing with the ramifications of everything since then.
I think people should re-pay attention to folks that they may have written off because of later decisions they made. And one of those people is the late Michael Davies. Have you read anything or seen Michael Davies?
Yeah.
He was, in the end, a member of the SSPX. He has a very interesting and insightful summary of what happened at Vatican II and all the schema that were completely trashed before they got the editing process started in 1962, and how Benini and the Concilium kind of took over. And it's worth watching. There's the Remnant had a summary of a talk he gave in Milwaukee when Rembert Weekland, the now openly gay Rembert Weekland, was still scamming Catholics for hush money and so on. It's worth watching because Catholics in the tradcon space love to complain about the spirit of Vatican II. We love to say things like, well, catechesis has been in the toilet for the last 60 years. No one ever says, what happened 60 years ago? Oh, you're falling into the post-proc pop, the post, I forget the Latin phrase. It's the fallacy that says just because something came after something doesn't mean that something was the cause of it. But the numbers don't lie.
Yeah, correlation isn't causation, or
no, it has to do with time. Just because one incident happened and it's followed by another bad incident doesn't mean that the prior incident caused it. That's the fallacy. It's a legitimate fallacy, but in this case,
post hoc ergo propter hoc.
That's it. Post hoc ergo propter hoc. Right. Before, therefore, the cause of. From 65 to 75, we had the largest bleed out of the church, out of religious vocations. Seminaries took a tumble. Humanae Vitae was released. It's not very well written. It's not terribly persuasive. It's only 31 paragraphs long. The strongest language he uses about contraception is illicit. He never says mortal sin. It's like a much more milquetoast, watered down version of Casti Connubii from Pius XI in 1930. And he never disciplined any cardinal, bishop, theologian, or priest who dissented. There was no canonical punishments for dissenters.
Okay, so because this we talked a little bit about this last time you were on, but when did you start to? Because Patrick, I remember listening to you. You were along with me. All of us were those guys who were. It was just the spirit of Vatican II. It was the council of the media. We were the hermeneutic of continuity guys. Like we all parroted those phrases. All of us, every one of us. Like I'm not saying anything about when did you start to go? Okay, wait a minute. I'm just kind of mimicking things that I've been told, but there's an issue here. Like something happened there. When was that change for you?
It was after Amoris Laetitia was released. That's my nickname for Amoris Laetitia. I was talking into my my phone, and it came out. The voice text recognition said Amoris Laetitia. I thought it was hilarious, so it kind of stuck. That's when I connected the documents of the Second Vatican Council with the documents of Bergoglio, and all the weaponized ambiguity that we complain about under this since March 2013. All the time bombs are there. The reason why there's even a discussion about the spirit of Vatican II is because of the existence of the letter of Vatican II. You notice there's no such thing as the arguments about the spirit of Trent? How come?
Yeah.
Because the letter of Trent is unambiguous. So the bishops that crafted the documents with their periti, right, their theological experts, they were really the ideologues that ran the Second Vatican Council in the editing and the final polished versions of the main 16 documents. and they brought them back to their dioceses. This is 3,000 bishops from around the world, and they implemented what they wanted based on, well, if this, then we mean that. If that, then we mean this. If you read, don't believe me, go to Gaudium et Spes. It's the longest document. I think it's longer than Sacrosanctum Concilium. And section 48 has a footnote because the discussion is contraception. And rather than affirm the contraception is a grave sin, it's a mortal sin. You're branded with the guilt of a grave crime, according to Pius XI. It says we're going to reserve the discussion of contraception until the Holy Father's Natality Commission renders its verdict.
Yeah.
Would you do that about the treatment of women or poverty or the environment? Have some of this tentative spirit? Of course not.
Just
so another. So I'm edging into the full answer to your question, Anthony. It's a good one. There's an ambiguity about the council itself. Now, I'm not coming to any conclusions. I'm not a state of a contest. I'm not saying we should delete the whole thing. I'd have to chew on what Archbishop Vigano has said about the Second Vatican Council. Catholics are taught to believe that ecumenical councils, by definition or by nature, are infallible, and that's always been true for the first 21 ecumenical councils. What makes this one different is the ambiguity in the very packaging of it, because it's always described as a pastoral council. You've heard that a million times, right? Oh, this didn't define anything new. If it didn't define anything new, why are 3 of the 4 main documents called dogmatic constitutions? Dei Verbum on divine revelation, Lumen Gentium on the church, and Sacrosanctum Concilium. The first one that was produced, by the way, was on the Mass, which is a reference to the traditional Latin Mass, not the Novus Ordo Missae. That was on nobody's mind in 1962. That took 7 years to germinate. So on the one hand, you have dogmatic constitutions, which sound, dogmatic, but it's packaged in a pastoral council.
Yeah.
That's
ambiguous.
Everything since then has been with that lens of pastoral. So we're not going to change the dogma, but in practice, this is what we're going to do. It changes the dogma in your...
I'm looking at a picture of me and the late Holy Father, Benedict XVI. Thanks to my friendship with Cardinal Burke, I got to meet him in April 2012. And I was a rabid fan of his writing when he was Joseph Ratzinger, dating back to my first encounter with him, which was his series of lectures published as Introduction to Christianity. And I think he's credited with the phrase, or made it popular, hermeneutic of continuity.
Yep.
Why do you need hermeneutic of continuity? Unless the documents themselves, the letter of Vatican II, are so problematic that you have to have a fix for the problem called the hermeneutic of continuity. As I'm not a church historian, but I have a feeling there was no debate about the hermeneutic of continuity 40 years after Trent, or Vatican I, or Florence, or the other ecumenical councils. Because the documents, like them or love them, agree or disagree, they're clear. They're clear. And this is not clear.
How has your nostalgia for Benedict changed? Because I mean, we grew up under these guys. Like, I still love John Paul II. It's just you see him in a very different light now than you did, knowing that he's the one who elevated Bergoglio, knowing that the Assisi meetings. You hear all the things that in the moment we kind of overlooked all these things because we saw what a great evangelist he was, traveling the world youth days, all these things. Now I look back on them, I'm like, these things are actually pretty disastrous. But you still have that nostalgia for the man, watching him take down communism and things like that. But Benedict, especially, we all thought he was God's Rottweiler, and then you kind of look back on it, you're like, maybe he was more of a puppy dog,
Well, having been in his presence, he's more like a combination of lamb and lion. He's not a Rottweiler, and he's not really a puppy dog. He's very grounded. I've never met anyone before who had more palpable joy about him. He was tired that day. It was in the morning. It was a Wednesday audience. I introduced him to my late father, and it was a great grace-filled encounter. He clearly, according to his interviews with Pete Shaywald, did not want to be Pope. He begged to resign from the CDF under John Paul II 3 times, and the Holy Father said no. He was infirm. He was surrounded by enemies. And We don't have to rehash this case again, but I'm convinced by the arguments from a canon law point of view that he did not resign validly, and he did not do so on very much on purpose by not resigning the munus, or the office. That's another story for another day. I think we've covered it before. But
did you see when Biden stepped down? I made that. I wrote
no,
that
hilarious.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I said Biden didn't resign the munus.
He's still the president. Yeah, he's the munus holder, and he knows it. Yeah, I did. I enjoyed that.
Man, yeah, well, I was saying I'm a Biden vicantist or something, but
yeah, I think the taproot here is modernism, Anthony. I'm going to be doing a lot more of this inside the True North community. Modernism, as it developed after the Enlightenment, with its roots in the Protestant revolt. I'm training myself to stop saying Reformation. It's a garbage term.
Yeah, it's a revolution.
It is what St. Pius X said in 1903 and 1906. It's the synthesis of all heresies.
Mm-hmm.
At bottom, modernism is the exaltation of man over God. That's what modernism is. It's anti-supernaturalist. It lives off weaponized ambiguity. It's the non serviam writ doctrinal. And you hear it all the time.
It's very much what the Catechism in 675 describes as the religion of man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it really is. Yeah. It's, if you really, and you see it in practice, that everything exalts man over God. Everything from the way we worship now, everything from how we handle doctrine, how we handle dogma, how we handle liturgy, everything is man oriented. It is no longer what is owed to God. It's no longer love God and love your neighbor. It's just love your neighbor and don't worry about loving God so much. It's a warping of Catholicism. It's like a Catholic skin suit, but it's lost its heart.
Yep, that works for me,
man. All right, this was fun, man. We're gonna try to get you on a bunch of times before we do this trip.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about do you want to do one more pass at it? Why do you want to go? Because you really lit up when I invited you, and I could tell this is not just, oh, nice trip, thanks for this, pal. You were kind of all chips in.
I've never been to Europe, and if I'm going to go, I want it to be a pilgrimage. I don't want it to just be a sightseeing touristy thing. And especially the way you described it to me, it was like, and especially because of all the crap that's going on in our culture right now, I need to detox from this stuff and go do a 14-day prayer journey and go see the saints and go see. I want to get connected back to my faith, and I'm really looking forward to it.
It gives you a chance to give your year a kind of Sabbath where you are disconnected, but you are not disconnected from the darkness. You're connected to the light. Italy, like France, is a saint-making machine. Every village, every town, every city we're going to go to, you can put a blindfold on and open your eyes and point anywhere, and you're going to see a beautiful church or a restored monastery or the best food in the world. And we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have daily mass. We have a really magnificent priest from Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, Father Douglas MacDonald, he's just such a really great man. Daily mass every day. We decided to not fight all the Traditionis Custodes, battles. So we're going to have Novus Ordo Missae in Latin, opportunity for confession every day, and it's a chance to grow in friendship with people and from multiple countries. This is what happened when we went to France and Portugal with Bishop Strickland, who was so great. He couldn't make it to Italy with us this time, but he'll be joining us in some future trip. These are friendships that are forged, often for life, and a lot gets disclosed, and a lot of faith is deepened. Do you want to give out Ali?
Put that banner up, Rob. Patrick, I'm looking forward to just sitting with you at dinner, having a glass of wine together, and just being able to talk, man. This is going to be an exciting trip.
So for non only hearing, not watching, it's Ali is our travel coordinator. 775-340-6047. That's 775 area code 340-6047. Her email is Ali. That's ALLY. Ali.ontheway@gmail.com. Ali.ontheway.
Anthony, I can't wait until you ask a bartender in Italy to make you a rocket fuel.
Wait, no, I have Enoch coming up this weekend, and I'm gonna make him drink one when we go to Fire Island on Sunday.
Oh, poor Enoch.
Oh man, that's gonna be a fun little thing too. Yeah, we're doing oh yeah, also if you guys are in the area, Saturday, the Catholic Palooza show in New Jersey. So if you guys are within driving distance and want to come and hang out, we'll be me, Enoch, Thursday from Pints with Aquinas will be. There's a bunch of guys going, so that's what we'll be doing this Saturday.
I want to go to one of those.
I mean, it's a music festival, but they asked me to go and they're like, you want to do a show from there? I'm like, I guess. I don't know. I'm just going to interview a couple of the guys that I know. They give me like a half hour I got to fill. So I'm going to go and have a fun time. So
nice. Yeah. Cool.
You fill half an hour with talking.
Yeah, I could pull that.
It's going to be tough. Good luck, Anthony. Good luck. Just put yourself on 1.5x to get it all in. Well, thanks for the invite, brother. If folks want to find out more about the True North movement, patrickcoffin.media, the blog, the fresh guests on podcasts, I'm trying to induce Oliver Stone to come on my show to talk about JFK and media narratives. He wrote the foreword to a book by Dr. Cyril Wecht, author of JFK Assassination Dissected. Unfortunately, Dr. Wecht died on May 13th. May he rest in peace. But Oliver wrote the foreword to his book.
Before we go, I want to jump into that real quick because the guests you're choosing it's kind of refreshing, especially coming from my point of view, right? We do a Catholic show. We're constantly talking about Catholic topics. Every episode is a scramble to see, okay, what are we going to talk about? Mm-hmm. I would imagine as somebody doing a show like this to just talk about other things is probably like refreshing a little bit, right? Like you're not just stuck into this one zone where you have to cover this one thing and you get to actually open up your horizon a little bit. That's probably really exciting.
Well, it's a balance. I don't want to be a blunderbuss, like a wide open rifle that shoots buckshot. I want to be more like a laser. So my laser is the triple intersection. Think of a three-way street, right? Faith, culture, and media narratives. So within that, there's a lot of different topics. But I tend, because of my ADHD, I tend to be a little too eclectic. You can't have a show about everything.
Yeah.
With apologies to Eric Metaxas, your show really has to be about one thing. And once you find that lane, then you see all the little ancillary topics that can be added to it. But you don't want to drift too much, music and celeb culture and history and the fly fishing.
Yeah, no, it has to have a narrative. It has to have a master narrative that you're trying to weave in and out of. But it's still good to get a little bit of flavor mixed in there, I would imagine.
Yeah, I find the Catholic space very hard to deal with now because it's all infighting and fist fighting and the chaos under Bergoglio. It's just the brand of Catholicism has been so badly damaged by this guy. It used to be that, just look at from one point of view, because you mentioned media. Common sense question. Did the media love or hate Benedict and John Paul II?
They hated him.
Hated him, right?
Hated him, yeah.
God's Rottweiler, the Panzer Cardinal, John Paul II, rigid, anti-woman, Polish misogynist.
Yeah.
Does the media love or hate Francis?
Oh, he's the media darling.
So another thing, I want my Pope to be hated. Even if it's a bad Pope, I want his guts hated out because it makes me love him more because I know he's faithful to Jesus Christ, who gave us in baptism the fine print. If the world hates me, it's going to hate you.
That's why Alexander VI is Anthony's favorite.
He's my favorite. Alexander VI. He's a very misunderstood character.
Just like that.
Misunderstood Pope.
The other guy, the other misunderstood character, Charles Manson. Misunderstood character.
Listen, I think Pope Alexander VI was destroyed by Pope Julius II.
Julius II.
Julius II. I think he was slandered by him. I think he was all about same thing, media narratives.
Was he a Borgia?
Yeah, Alexander VI was. Yeah.
Did Jeremy Irons play him?
Yes, and he played it phenomenally.
I love Jeremy Irons. There's another guy I want to go after.
If there's an actor I could ever interview, I would want to interview Jeremy Irons. I want to talk to him about playing Alexander VI and The Mission. Those two roles he played, I freaking could watch them over and over and over.
He also played Charlie Manson in a music video. No, he didn't. I'm just kidding.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that if he did.
He said something, and this may be why he's off the grid altogether. He's married to a Catholic, and in an interview about 7 years ago.
I remember this.
Yeah, he said, "God bless the Catholic Church. They're the only organization against abortion." It's like,
and you know what else he said when they were talking about gay marriage? He said, I just worry that if we open the door to this, that you're opening the door to a Pandora's box and you don't know what's going to come through it. And he was 100% right. But he said this at a time where I was like shocked that he said, I got to try and find that clip. It's a really good clip.
Roger. Who's the absurdly sweet baby?
This is Philomena.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's growing up.
A family show, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, with Catholic, you're going to see babies popping occasionally. But Patrick, thank you so much, man. We'll talk again soon.
Sounds great, brother. God bless you.
All right, Rob, take us out.
All right.
Okay.